Okay guys, hi, welcome to week 10. I'm looking forward to grading your tests and getting them back to you within the next week, but I'm excited to see what those look like. So this week we're going to be in Unit 11 and we're going to talk about dominant and dominant seventh chords. So if you can turn your books to page 148 and 149, we're going to talk through some things really quickly. So I know we talked about before tonic and dominant and we've done harmonization with that, so just a quick review. If we were in the key of C, tonic is the first step, so C would be our tonic, this would be our tonic or our 1 chord, and then if we go up to the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's our dominant note, and that's our dominant chord, our 5 chord, okay? And then they talk a little bit underneath about sometimes if to make it easier to play, we're actually going to play in an inversion. So essentially an inversion is playing all the same notes but starting on a different note within the chord, okay? We'll get into inversions a little bit more as the semester goes on, and especially more in the next class that you're going to take, okay? Alright, so then look over at the next page to talk about the 1, 5, 6 to 1 progression. That really quickly. So all that is just altering the 5 chords so that we're in the first inversion. And all we have to do is just stick the lower 2 notes out and bring it back. And then you can take that and transpose it to different keys. So now let's talk really about the 5-7 chord. It says sometimes that you're going to have that instead of a 5 just to make it a little bit more interesting. So to make a 5-7 chord, an interval of a seventh above the root is added to the 5 triad. So we have our 5 triad. We're going to look for a minor 7th, not a major 7th, otherwise that's a major chord, and that's, whoops, hold on. That is the chord that we're looking for to resolve back to our 1. Okay? So in the case of C major, G, B, D, F. Okay? Now, obviously, if you look down at playing the 1, 5, 6, 5 to 1 progression, what you can do is play this F and G right here, so you'll play 4 and 5 and then stick your thumb or your pinky out, depending on what hand we have. Okay? Hopefully that makes a good amount of sense. Let's turn to the next page. Playing the 5, we're going to play through this progression in several different keys. So we're not going to do the 1, 5, 7, 1 progression. Or just going to stick with the top one, okay? So they walk us through a series of keys. We're going to go through the one that they have listed for 6-1, and then all of these ones that we have below we're going to go through as well, okay? So let's start with 6-1. We're in the key of C major. We've got our 1, 5, 6, 5, and then 1. Now we're going to shift up to F major. So here's our F major chord. 1, 5, 6, 5, back to 1, okay? That shape should start to be like, hey, that seems familiar. It should be the general basic shape of each 5, 6, 5 chord. You're going to have sharps and flats added in, obviously, depending on what key you're in, but it's that basic shape of a whole step between the top 2 notes, and then the bottom note should be a half step below tonic, okay? Now we did F major, move on to the key of G major. So our G major chord, 1, 5, 6, 5, 1. Cool. And then we're back to C. Okay, let's go down. So skip over the next little bit. Go down to 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to take and do these in all of these keys. So the first one we have D major. We're going to find a root position D major chord. Our 5, 6, 5, remember, top note, note right below it, and then a half step down. There we go. Okay, now G, we've already done that before. Okay, A, scoot up to A major chord. Scoot the bottom note down, and then the second to top note for 5, 6, 5, back to 1. Now we're going back to a D major. Okay, 6-4, start good old E major, our 1, 5, 6, 5, check and make sure that your notes are correct. We should have D sharp, A, and B, to E major. Okay, we've done A major before. major. We've got our B major chord. This one could be a little bit tricky. So just remember, bottom note, half step below, and then we need a whole step below our top note. So A sharp, E, and F sharp for this one. So 5, 6, 5, back to 1. All right, and then we have E again. Okay, let's go on to 6-5. Hopefully this is making sense as you go along. This is how we're going to build into the cadences that you're eventually going to do for piano proficiency exam several classes from now. Okay, so 6-5, we're starting with D flat. Okay, so there's our 1. 5, 6, 5, half step down with the bottom note and whole step from the top note. So C, G flat, and A flat to 1. Okay, all right, G flat. So then this one's a little bit tricky too, but half step from G flat, so F, whole step from the top note D flat, so B natural in this case. So let's do that one more time. 1, 5, 6, 5, 1. Cool. All right, now A flat major. Okay, same thing, half step down. Still our top note, and then a whole step there. So G, D flat, and E flat to A flat. Okay, now we're back to D flat. Awesome. Okay, this should start to feel like a really familiar hand position, or some familiar hand positions to you right now. Okay? All right, so now 6-6, E flat major, and then half step down, and a whole step between top two. So D, A flat, and B flat. So 1, 5, 6, 5. Cool. Now A flat we just did in the last one. So 1, 5, 6, 5. Now B flat. So we have our 1 chord, half step down for our thumb and pinky, and then whole step from the top note. So A, E flat, and F, and then back to our position 1. So again, 1, 6, 1, or 5, 6, 5, 1. All right, and then E flat one more time. 1, 5, 6, 5, and 1. Okay. See if you can practice these in other keys besides the ones that we just worked our way through. Hopefully that makes quite a bit of sense. Once you practice it in a number of different keys, you can start adding them to the ends of scales as well, just to kind of finish it out. But with that being said, next we're going to go on from there, but we will see that a lot this week.